We're talking about Ohio State tonight. On October 11th, the Buckeyes will be coming to Champaign. That game is an orange out, by the way. If you did not see that, they announced that a few weeks ago on Twitter, or X, sorry. Orange out, going to be super rowdy environment. I absolutely can't wait for this matchup, even though I'm highly skeptical that Illinois can actually win. This is going to be huge. It's going to be a great atmosphere in Champaign, win or lose. I have no doubt. So the Buckeyes will be hosting Texas to start the season. That is the marquee game of week one of the college football season, is Ohio State, Texas, a playoff rematch from the semifinals last season. After that, though, not too difficult for them. They'll then be hosting Grambling and then Ohio to round out their non-conference schedule. Then they'll be at Washington. That'll be their only road game before this one. And then they'll host Minnesota. So nothing too difficult after Texas. The week after this, they'll then be heading to Wisconsin. So this is part of a 2-week road trip for them, heading to Wisconsin the following week. Head-to-head, all-time, the Fighting Illini versus the Buckeyes. It doesn't look very good for us, guys. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Illinois is 30-69-4 all-time against Ohio State, and they're 12-37 in Champaign, where this game will be taking place. So they're actually worse at home than they are at Ohio State, which just makes absolutely no freaking sense. And they've also lost their last 9 in a row, right? I mean, Illinois hasn't been that good until as of late, and Ohio State has always been very good, especially good as of late. Not a surprise either. Their last meeting was actually not since 2017, which is very surprising. It'll be almost 8 years when these teams meet that they've met, which is crazy for two teams in the same conference. There is a reason for that. I'll get into that later. 11 and that was on November 18th, of 2017. They lost in Ohio. They lost 52-14, absolute beatdown in Columbus. Their last meeting in Champaign was almost a decade ago, November 14th, 2015, which the Illini lost 28-3 in front of the home fans. So Illinois' last win against Ohio State, you'd have to go back to November 10th. God, they play on November a lot. They won that one 28-21 in November 10th, 2007. Sorry, missed the year there. Their last win in Champaign, since that one was on the road, you'd have to go back to October 12th, 1991, in which they won an ugly 10-7 game in front of the Illini faithful at Memorial Stadium. Their first ever meeting, November 15th, 1902. Those thrilling 0-0 ties they had back in the day. Man, wow. There's so many more 0-0 ties than I expected looking back at the history of some of these Big Ten teams. Crazy. The next two after that, though, after that 0-0 tie in 1904 and then 1914, the Illini won 46-0 and 37-0, respectively. So the Illini owned this rivalry in the early 1900s, and then since then it's just been hell pretty much for the Illini, and that again isn't really surprising, right? Because we take a look at Ohio State's recent history. 2024 national champions, 14-2, 7-2 in the Big Ten, 3-1 away. Their only losses was that 1-point loss at Oregon, and then that loss to Michigan at home by 3, which is very surprising. Illinois did beat Michigan last year, did beat Ohio State. That's not to say that Illinois is better than Ohio State. I do not believe that. I love the Illini, but I'm not delusional. The best comp they do have to a team like Illinois is Indiana, and they beat them 38-15 in Columbus. Illinois does have home field advantage. That's nice. But again, looking back at history, for whatever reason, the Illini are worse at home against Ohio State. But hopefully that changes. Because again, we haven't seen them since 2017. Haven't seen them in Champaign since 2015. That was a very different Illini program. Gosh, this itch. What is going on? Very different Illini program in 2015 than we have now in the big 2025, right? This is a whole another level of competitiveness and integrity that those teams just didn't have 10 years ago, right? So they haven't seen us as we are yet. Because again, the last meeting still 2017, still, yeah, they were trash that year. I mean, there's a totally different Illini program that Ohio State is just not used to. It's not the same team they saw 8 years ago, not the same team they saw 10 years ago. In the college football playoff last year, Ohio State, well, obviously they were 4-0 because they won the whole thing. Round one, hosting Tennessee, they won 42-17. They just rocked them. Round two then was the Rose Bowl against Oregon, who they got revenge on. They won that one 41-21 against the number one team in the country at the time. Then in the semifinals of the Cotton Bowl against Texas, they won that one 28-14. And then the national championship against Notre Dame, they won that one 34-23. So, yeah, a perfect playoff run. Obviously, it has to be perfect if you're going to win the national championship. Really, I mean, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but certainly a surprising winner, given of the first ever 12-team college football playoff. I mean, well, they were that 8th seed, I believe, right? So, yeah, definitely a shocker. Already 3-0 in 2025 since they won those last 3 games were all in January of this year. So, very impressive stuff last year, no doubt about it. 2023, they were 11-2, 8-1 in the Big Ten, and 5-1 away. They started 11-0 actually in 2023, and then lost their last game to Michigan. That's going to be a common theme here as we look back the past 5 years of Buckeyes football. And their other loss was in the Cotton Bowl. They did not make the playoffs, so they lost the Cotton Bowl to Mizzou, 14-3. 2022, they were also 11-2, and they also started 11-0. Including scoring 77 points at home against Toledo. That is freaking ridiculous. They then lost again at 11-0 to Michigan, 45-23. And then they faced Georgia in the Peach Bowl in the semifinals for the college football playoff. Lost that one 42-41 on New Year's Eve. I remember watching that one at my friend's house. That was absolutely tragic. We missed that field goal. That just, I'm not an Ohio State hater. I'm not an Ohio State lover either, though. That made me feel really bad. That just sucks. 2021, 11-2, 3 straight years, 11-2. Their losses that year were to Oregon, who was not yet part of the Big Ten, though. So they were 8-1 in the Big Ten and 5-1 on the road. Lost to Oregon 35-28, and then lost to Michigan. Jeez, lost to Michigan again. The rumors are honestly true that Ryan Day cannot beat Michigan. 42-27. They did win the Rose Bowl, though. That wasn't a playoff game. They won the Rose Bowl against Utah 48-45. Crazy stuff out of C.J. Stroud and the boys back then. And then in 2020, the shortened 2020 season, they were 7-1. Went 6-0 in the Big Ten, though. We're 4-1 away. They were supposed to play the Illini, actually. So this was supposed to be their last meeting. Still weird that it would have been 5 years. But, they're in, like, different sides of the Big Ten, like East and West. So, it's that's what happens. But still, that's quite a big gap to not play a team in your conference. They were supposed to play the Illini on the 28th of November in 2020, but that game was canceled due to some positive COVID tests before that one. They didn't beat Clemson in the college football playoff semifinal, 49-28, only to lose their first game of the season to Alabama, 52-24 in the national championship. that year. So those are the last 5 years of Ohio State football. Very good. Haven't lost more than 2 games in a season. Haven't lost more than 1 road game in a season. So hopefully they align IR that 1 loss for them this year. Taking a look at their roster, but starting first with the coaching staff. Ryan Day took over for Urban Meyer in 2019. He is 70-10. It's really not that hard to win at Ohio State, but you got to give him credit, man. He's definitely kept the ship above water. No doubt about that. 70-10, my Lord. He is 5-3 in the college football playoff. He was 1-3 before this year. That only win was that 2020 win in the semis against Clemson, but he really got it done this year. Got 4 wins, and now he's got a good-looking playoff record. Gets a lot of slack for not beating Michigan, right? The only time he's ever beaten Michigan was in his first year in 2019. Hasn't beaten them since even last year as national champions, and Michigan was way down last year compared to where they were. And they were only 7-5, or I guess 8-5 after they beat Alabama. A lot worse than the 2023 national championship Michigan team. And somehow their offense just got absolutely shut down. So they just can't really beat Michigan for the life of them. Had some slack for not succeeding in the postseason as well, but he really turned that story on its head in the first ever 12-team college football playoff. That was a dominant run. There's a lot of key players we want to talk about when it comes to the Ohio State Buckeyes. A lot of their championship team from last year is gone, though. 14 picks in the NFL draft this year. That was the most of any school. So a lot of guys gone, and yet there's still a bunch of guys you got to worry about. So here are the guys. Starting with the first guy, safety Caleb Downs, number 2. He is very well known, so I shouldn't have to tell you too much about him. Could be the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. It is possible. I don't think he will be, but it's very possible. He's in conversation for that number 1 pick. Depends who has it there. In 2024, he had 81 tackles, 2 interceptions. There's also some rumors that he could get involved in the offense this year. Apparently, Ryan Day wanted to do that last year, and it just didn't happen. Though it's rumored to happen this year. We'll see if he suits up offensively as well. He very well could suit up as a receiver because his older brother is Josh Downs, a wide receiver on the Indianapolis Colts. You should be familiar with him if you're a football fan. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. But, I mean, I don't know if they really even need the help at wide receiver, which would be the main thing that deters him from doing that, because wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, he'll be wearing number 4. Absolutely dominant freshman year, and is I think he is the best wide receiver in all of college football. Illinois has a fantastic secondary. It's really, really going to get tested in this game. As a freshman in 2024, 76 receptions, 1,315 yards, 15 touchdowns. And in the playoff, he was absolutely dominant. First round against Tennessee, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rose Bowl against Oregon, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't do much against Texas in the Cotton Bowl, but then against Notre Dame, 88 yards and a touchdown. I wrote in my notes, arguably the best wide receiver in college football. Is anyone even going to argue this? It's definitely Jeremiah Smith. He did that all as a freshman. This is the best receiver in college football. And if that's not enough to test the Illinois secondary, then his number 2 wide receiver, Carnell Tate, who you'll also have to look out for, wearing number 17, is a fantastic wide receiver number 2. We talked 2 weeks ago about how I think USC has the best wide receiver duo in the country. This is right below them. Definitely could overtake them as the season unfolds, right? As a sophomore last year, Tate had 52 receptions, 733 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Very good when you consider the huge target share that Jeremiah Smith took up. So getting good reps there. Linebacker Sonny Styles, who'll be wearing number 6. He had 100 tackles on the dot, and 49 of them solo last year. 6 sacks as well, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. He really broke out towards the end of the season and in the college football playoff. Then you got cornerback Davison Igbinosun. I really hope I didn't butcher that. Number 1, 45 tackles, 30 of them solo, 1 fumble recovery, 2 interceptions, and 9 pass deflections. He does have a bit of a reputation among college football fans for getting a little handsy, drawing a few too many penalties, but overall, he's still incredibly talented, right? And that's not going to change that. Then there's quarterback Julian Sayin, who I do want to make note of. I think will be very dangerous by this point as well, because Will Howard's gone. Sayin was a top recruit when he committed to Alabama, but then when Nick Saban left, so did he. Decommitted from there, went to Ohio State. He will definitely be the starter. He is inexperienced, but he has crazy good pass catchers. He sat and watched this championship team all of last year. He did get in 4 games last year, 5 of 12, 84 yards and a touchdown. So I think by this point he will be settled in because it'll be mid-season for him by then. So he'll be pretty good by then. Some other key players to look out for: tight end Max Clare. He'll be wearing number 80. He's a transfer from Purdue. You got Carson Hinsman, the center, number 75. Caden Curry, defensive end, number 92. And then a transfer running back from West Virginia, C.J. Donaldson, number 4. So overall, I mean, there's no question in my mind that Ohio State is a better team than Illinois, right? This is literally a national championship team. Illinois is not really going to play an Ohio State caliber team this year. While they will have some good tests, Indiana and Duke just aren't quite on this level. I think this can be a close game, though. I definitely think with Illinois' experience, the fans behind them, they can keep this one close, right? Keep it within a score. I would love to see them at least just compete in this game, but I don't see them winning it. I do not see them winning it. This is the only game I can circle on their calendar as an absolute lock as a loss, right? I will be overjoyed if they win it because I just don't see it happening.